Hi everybody, this is a quick video tutorial for completing week 2 assignment 2. In this assignment we are working on the various color wheels for the different color systems that you've learned about. And what the color wheels are going to show us is how colors mix within each of the systems. So a lot of people learned the traditional paint colors and how those mix. People learned that growing up, red, yellow, and blue. But today we're introducing the additive and subtractive color wheels as well. So what I want to take a look at here is a really good way to kind of fill in some of the colors. So on the swatch palette here in Illustrator, you'll see the swatch libraries menu down at the bottom. If I click on that and I go to default swatches, I can go over to the basic RGB swatches. And so let me just expand this out. Okay. All right, we can take that swatch palette and begin to fill in some of the colors. So for the additive, which is the color wheel that deals with mixing of light, and so anything on a screen, a computer monitor, for example, will deal with light. The primary colors are red, green, and blue. So we'll just take primary red and fill that in with the warmest color at the top. And then we'll take the green and drag that over, and the blue and drag that over. All right, moving down to the subtractive color wheel here. It's basically kind of the opposite. The subtractive color wheel deals more with ink and dye. And so in a printing process, that's the color system that you would be concerned with. So with that one, the primary color is magenta, and the other is cyan, and the other is yellow. Okay. Now these three colors are actually the secondary colors in the additive system. And so if we go back to the additive system and we look at green and red, you would mix green and red together in order to get yellow in the additive system. And blue and green are going to make cyan. Okay, whoops. Let's drag that to the right shape. There we go. All right, so for red and blue, we'll mix those to make magenta. And then the same thing is true over here. The secondary colors in the subtractive wheel are the same as the primary colors in the additive wheel. So going back to that subtractive color wheel, if we have cyan and magenta, we mix those together, you would get blue. And cyan and yellow, you'll get green. Okay. And then finally in the subtractive color wheel, yellow and magenta mixed together will get red. Now, we can begin the traditional color wheel in the same way, but we're going to take that in a different direction. So remember that the traditional color wheel, the primaries are red, yellow, and blue. Oops. Okay. And I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit on this. All right. We can even do one of the secondary colors, and that would be green. So you can take the green from the swatches in that RGB basic swatch library, but we're going to mix or blend the secondary colors of orange and violet. And the way we're going to do that is by taking a square or rectangle tool right here, and we'll just give that a fill of red. And how I'll do that is you can see that the square here is selected, and I'll just hit the keyboard shortcut of I, and that will give me the eyedropper tool. I'll click on the red, and then I'm going to duplicate this square by holding down Option, dragging that over, and now I'd like to mix red and yellow together. So with just this one selected, I'm going to again hit I on my keyboard for the eyedropper tool, click on yellow, and now we have a red and yellow square. At the very top menu, we can go to Object, and then down to Blend and over to Blend Options. And we can choose Specified Steps. Now we only need one step between these because we're just going to be mixing or blending these colors together. So we'll go ahead and click OK. And then here on the toolbar, we can select the Blend tool. Click on that. Click on one color and then the other, and it will give you a swatch in the middle that mixes those two colors. So now what we want to do is click on the eyedropper and select that orange color. And you can take the orange color directly here from this fill area and drag that over to where you need that to go in between the primary colors. So go ahead and get your black arrow, deselect everything just by clicking on the artboard anywhere, and anywhere that there isn't an object or a shape, I should say. And now we'll take the eyedropper tool again, and we'll take this red color and put it back here, and we'll take the eyedropper tool and select blue, and we'll put it over here, and you can see that that's given us the violet color that we need. So I'm going to sample that color. It's changed the fill, and I'll drag that color over to the secondary placement here on the color wheel. So at this point I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go ahead and fill in all the colors, and then I'll come back and talk just for a minute about the intervals that you'll need to create on this assignment. Okay, so everything's pretty much filled in here, and I'm just going to scroll out, zoom out so you can take a look at that. And basically I filled in everything else using this technique with the blend tool. The one thing that I would like to see you do is on the traditional color wheel. If you've ever worked with paint or pastel or anything like that that the traditional color wheel represents, then you know that it's very difficult or impossible to get a secondary color that's as bright and as saturated as this. In fact, if we go over here and we take the white arrow and select just this green color, which is a secondary hue, you can see that we're getting an out of gamut warning. So what I'd like you to do is go and adjust the brightness and saturation levels of some of the colors on the traditional color wheel. Now, in your color palette, you can switch between different color sliders in both Photoshop and Illustrator. So choose the HSB, the Hue, Saturation, and Brightness slider here. And we're just going to ever so slightly turn down the saturation and brightness just to represent paint colors a little bit more accurately. Just in the traditional color wheel. You don't need to touch either of the other color wheels that we've filled in. So again, you can just use that white arrow to select that, and then just bring down the saturation and brightness to more closely represent paint and the other materials that would be described by this traditional color wheel. All right, now moving on to these intervals. You're going to use the intervals that we create in a design. And so you need to have a good variety in value and saturation of your colors. I'm just going to move things around a little bit so you guys can see. Now, let's work on the intervals that we'll create with the colors in the additive color system. Okay, using the eyedropper tool, which again the shortcut is just letter I on the keyboard, you can select a color. Find a good place to put this. All right, let's make an analogous interval with red, and I'll just drag that over, and then something in the range up to and including the secondary color nearest red. So just this much of the color wheel would be considered analogous. If you go farther, you're starting to get too dissimilar and too far away from that original parent hue. So let's select the secondary color here, and we'll drag that over to the other end of the interval. Both of these colors are highly saturated. There's no contrast and saturation whatsoever. And what we want for a design is to create an interval that has a nice range of value and saturation. So by selecting just one of these colors, I'll take the HSB sliders again and just turn that down. I might make that really dark. And then the other one I can lighten up a little bit. And so now we'll use the blend tool to create that interval between those two colors. So again, go up to the object menu and down to blend, blend options, and this time instead of one specified step, you can type in 5. Click OK. Take your blend tool right here and just click between the two colors to create that interval. Now, you can adjust the colors and, take a look at this. Think about it in terms of what will a nice range of colors be within a design. So, if you're not satisfied with that, you can just redo it until you have a good range of both value and saturation. I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, please let me know.